Hello, hello, my friendly beady people. I am so glad to see some of you here. And I'm so glad to be here. And I turned the fan down. If it's too loud, somebody can comment. I'm thinking it's okay. Blessings and just yay. It's Friday and life is good and we have a fun new kit. I have been excited about this kit since the very first time I made this one right here. And I think it was on here that somebody commented that it would be fun to see that demonstrated and made into a kit. And it had been a prototype from way back. So I figured it out and came up with some recipes and got the instructions done, and we're ready to go. So I'm pretty excited because it really is a fun little project to make. So I don't have as much support as I typically do during these shows. So hi, Lisa. So if I miss something, I will try to watch the feed, the comments that are coming on the screen while I'm doing the demo. But if I miss something, please just ask again. And I will try to address any questions you have, because that's kind of my idea. I want to show you how this bracelet is made, and then answer any questions or concerns that you might have. Hi, June. Hi, Janet. Hi, Lisa. So good to see people. Oh, yes, I saw a thumbs up. Anytime you can give a thumbs up or hello or any of that, you know, that makes Facebook think we're Marvy, and that's always a good thing. And it helps me know that something is good or making sense to you or not. So there was one other thing I was going to say, and then I just got distracted. One of my helpers just came in. Hi, Ed.
Hey, Becky.
Say hi to Ed.
We're coming to you live from historic downtown Stoughton.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. Here, I was going to say I will be sharing this later. This is the basic recipe for what's needed if you're buying things. Hey, Ruth, good to see you. If you're buying things off our website to make up your own combinations, we have, I think, 5 colorway kits that we've put together to start with, that you can order the kit if you want just those ingredients exactly as is, as you see shown here. Hey, Suzanne, good to see you as well. Yay, yay. She says hi to you, Ed. I didn't get a hi from Suzanne. Never mind.
Hey,
oh,
Suzanne.
Now she said hi. Okay, hi. Hi, Karen. And, and she says hi, capital Ed. Anyway, because Ed can't see the feed right now. But anyway, we are going to be not bidding on this show like we normally do, but this is just pure demo. And then our website is all set up so that you can order any of these Zoni bracelets as well as the components. And because we have a crazy hectic schedule right now, we are not likely to get very many of these out today. We've got a show all weekend long out of town, and we'll be back on Monday to get things packed up. If this is a bracelet emergency or a kit emergency that you're having and you really needed to go out, let us know. But generally, I think we've come to understand that not much of this is all that super critical. So I will, go ahead.
Did you share with them that, so we're going to turn these on our website about 12:30 p.m. There'll be, the leather is already on, the wax linen's already on, the buttons are already on. And I think Becky is going to have some links. I think she posted some links to all of these.
I did. I put a post out there. I was going to post them on the live link as well, but it doesn't matter. They can just be right where they are.
And we're going to try something new. We're going to turn on free shipping on our website, and we're going to keep that on until 3 o'clock. So if you do place your order before 3 o'clock, it will get free shipping as well. So certainly we'll try to get as many of those out as we can, but we realize, again, like Becky said, the majority, if they don't get submitted by 3 p.m., will get sent out on Monday. Those of you that are on our newsletter, you are welcome to use those very generous coupons we printed in yesterday's newsletter when you place your web order. We'd love to see those. So with that said, I will turn things back over to Becky.
Thanks, Eddie. I appreciate it. All of your insight. Okay, so we are going to just get started. The kit will come with two chunks of leather that are 2.5 feet long. Some have the same color, some have different colors. 2 pieces of wax linen cord that are 5 feet long each, and a 16-inch segment of chain. I already separated mine. That was my bad. But basic, and then a bunch of beads, because beads, beads, beads. So with this bracelet, you string your cord, your leather cord, 2 mil, through the button, and I like to make a overhand knot, and I think we all know how to make those. I couldn't have made this one any sloppier. So per usual, I'm happy to show you all the ways I do things that aren't so great. Anyway, I like to have my button be, have the knot be right there at the edge of the button, not right up next to the edge of the button, because that would be, there's no place for the knot on the other side when you're latching it to land. So a little space is good. Hey, Jessica and Lori, hello, hello. Good to see y'all. And so again, whenever making leather, working with leather, always pull those knots really firmly. I don't know if you saw how that actually moved quite a little bit. If you don't pull your knot firmly when you're making it, it'll loosen it'll tighten as time goes on, and then your bracelet will loosen. So you're going to put the wax linen right at the midpoint of the top of the bracelet, and we're just going to tie a knot to attach the wax linen to the bracelet. And this is made in 2 steps. We're going to first attach the chain to the outside and the beads, and then we go around another time and attach the leather to the outside. So with this done, if you feel like it, the instructions give you a way, but if you feel like making an extra knot, or you would like the look of that wax linen up above, feel free. There's no law that says you can't have an extra knot or 2, but 1 is certainly plenty. So the next step here is to attach the box Rollo chain. And so box Rollo chain is lovely. It has 2 segments. So, hey Lynn, good to see you. Howdy, howdy. There's a top segment and then a bottom segment. And so we are going to be using the top segments almost exclusively through this bracelet. And what you want to do is attach the top segment, the top segment of the first piece of chain, you want to attach to the leather, because we're basically, I'm going to show you an example of a finished bracelet. We're basically wanting to just affix that chain right at the top sturdily, so then you can get into the weaving of the beads in between the leather and the chain. So I like to go around, so I put the cord through once. I'm going to come around both pieces of leather and put the cord through again. And it's easier in my mind to just attach one side of this at a time. You could certainly put both of them on there. It just requires a little more dexterity. And then this piece needs to be attached thusly. And we're going to put him through like so. Yeah, I love this chain too, Suzanne. Probably, there's so many things you can do with box Rollo. It is very useful in many, many ways. Just since you mention it, there's an individual loop link that you can separate out and just use as a bail, use as a connector. They're just super, super, super handy in my mind. So, all right, so I'm gonna come. Hey, Vicky. Happy Friday to you too. It is good to see you. Good to see everybody. So I'm going to go back up through this. Oh, there we go. Get in my spot. Sorry. And then back through. So truly, there's lots of different ways you can do this. The point right here, as you can see, is simply to get the chain attached to the leather with wax linen. So I probably have a few more wraps on there than the instructions say, but I kind of wanted to just show you that it isn't critical, that it has to be done any one way. And then, push this up a little bit. It can be moved along as we go. And I'll show you that later what I mean by it can be moved along as we go. So I have chosen to do this example with some of the smallest hole beads that we would have in our kit so that I can show you how to get wax linen through small hole beads. Notice that, oh, you know what? I skipped a step. Notice that we don't attach a bead in between the leather, or we don't attach a bead in between the leather on the very first link of Rolo chain because it's just too tight. So instead, we're going to go around, and I'm going through the top link of the second Rolo segment and then cross over. So we're always just crossing over the leather, trying to wrap it in there, and go through the top link of the second Rolo on the other side. There's kind of a crisscross, turn that over, and then this is where we are going to start putting beads on. I was a little premature there. And if you tried to put a bead on that first one and were successful, have at it. Some of my early samples, I was putting a bead on the first one, and it works okay. It's just not, it's not as easy and doesn't tuck in quite as nicely. So that's why I decided to go down and do it on the second. So next step is to get a bead tucked right into the middle of the two pieces of leather. And so you can see this bead from this set of size 5 beads. So these are size 5 check strands. So we've picked some to use in our kits, but any of the strands we have on the web would work as well if there's other colors that you like. And so the easiest way I've found to get a bead over, to get wax linen through a small space the second time around is basically, the wax linen has a nice little bit of wax in it, and line it up right next to the piece that's already through there, and then push the bead over it. So now I've got both pieces of wax linen through, going in opposite directions. I'm going to pull it up and then tuck it right in to where it's going to live, right there. But every time you do this, so you put one bead on, I shouldn't say but, and then you'd bring this wax linen around the back of the leather, bring this around the back of the leather, and now you've basically done one stitch. And so the next stitch, and I'm going to do 2 or 3 of these, come up through the top link of the next Rolo segment. So now I'm in my third Rolo link, and then come up the top link of the top opening of the third link on the other side, and set it down. And I'm going to pick one of these that's got a particularly small hole. So do you see how little that hole is? If I had a way to measure it, I would try, but they're really small. And we've experimented doing this bracelet with size 6 check beads, and my good Betty Laura was able to do it, but with a little more frustration than she or I would have liked for her to have. She's not a beader, she's a quilter, but she's a great person to experiment with new projects and new instructions because she doesn't assume anything, and I can't assume that she knows anything, and it just works really well. So her reaction was that it was just way too much fuss to try to get that size 6 bead through. I will show you, there's an example of what she did, but she got the whole thing done. But, so we are not going to be doing a kit with that. We will use our size 6 Miyuki and Matubo beads, however. So, again, I just I added the bead by going through the wax linen, I added the next bead by putting the wax linen through the bead and going around the leather. I'm going to go up here and up on the other side and through another bead, picking whatever color I think is going to be good. And I want to do enough of these that we get to where you can see what kind of happens. So just a couple tips with wax linen. This isn't getting frayed at all, but if that starts to happen, or it just gets kind of loose, wax linen is lovely. You can kind of pull it to a point, pinch it real hard, and it becomes super easy then to really get that point and the tip of it right through these beads, even though the holes are small. So pull it, you've got it right there, come around the back, come around the back again, and weave. Now, this is a way to do this. And like I say, so I'm coming around from the back. Lynn says, can you hold hands up closer to finish bracelet where there is more light? Yes, let me see. I can. Thanks for saying something. Trying to bring all my lights in a little bit closer here. See if that helps. So I'm going from the back to the front, putting the bead on, coming around the back of the leather. There's no reason why you couldn't work this bracelet from this side and actually, or flip it as you go if you would prefer to go down. The basic concept is you're just trying to keep things even and going in the same, having those the cords all going in the same direction. I'm going to show you a mistake that I made because I think that's helpful. So Ruth asks, the ply on the wax linen, this is 4-ply. And, that's a good question if an 8/0 bead would work. I know that 8/0 check wouldn't work, but I betcha a size 8, a little size 8 would work. You know what? Eddie is out in the other room and monitoring, but if he could bring an size 8 bead back here, I would test it and see. So I wanted to show this. I was working fast this morning, and you can see that I missed a stitch there. And so just a reminder, if I accidentally put instead of putting this layer or this round of wax linen around the back of the leather, I put it in front. And that wasn't what I was supposed to do. So, watch your work as you go and take it apart back to where the problem occurred if you don't like that. All right, so where was I? I was here. Okay. So with these bracelets, you're going to basically go all the way, adding beads. Oh, I know. I wanted to show you. So it's hard to see in this example quite yet, and I don't want to bore you with more stitches that you don't need to see. But because of the size of these beads, I wish I could make that light better. I'm sorry. Let's see. Come up higher. I bet that helps. Maybe this. Is that a little bit better? Sorry about that. So if the leather or if the bead starts to become like the size of the bead is pushing the angle of your wire or of your wax linen down because the bead is not keeping up with the chain, and you can see there's a little bit of give to all of it. There's actually quite a bit of give to the chain. You can use all these, the kits that need it, actually all of them include some accent beads, and I tend to be kind of completely random when it comes to adding accent beads for the most part, so I just pop them in when I feel like it rather than do it with a pattern. You can go whichever direction you like with it, but there I've added the little copper accent bead. He's a little smaller, so it'll make the flow of the weaving come back and not be kind of stretched out because of the size of that size 5 bead, if you see what I mean. I do want to point out that these beads, obviously a Matubo or a Miyuki bead is almost always, going to have a very nice sized hole and they won't be sharp. But I wanted to point out that sometimes the inside edge of these little metal beads can have a sharp edge. There's one. So I would avoid that on I would avoid using one that has a sharper edge, and hopefully you can kind of see that. It's not a lot of them, but you can, use it where you're not going to be putting pressure on it. So this, you're going to continue until you get all the way down to where it was the right size. Now the kits are going to come with 2.5 feet of leather. All my samples I've made with 2 feet of leather and had plenty left over. So the kit will allow you to make up to an 8 inches of pretty, because there's 16 inches of chain. So you can make a very large sized bracelet with the ingredients. But if you're going to make your own, you wouldn't need to have that much extra. If you were making, if you fall in love with this in the same way I have and decide you want to make a whole bunch. All right, so now I am trying to find the next one that I want to demonstrate for you is this one, or the next step. Oh, do you know what I did want to show though is how we decide, well, actually I'll show you on here. How do you know that it is, thanks Julie, I appreciate that, the design is really cool. I'm going to show you this one, which is the original. This is an old prototype bracelet, so that's why it's got kind of uneven beads in there. But the ideal, if you like your bracelet to fit like a cuff, the ideal spacings would be to have from the point of the end of the chain and the beads to the point of the button would be to have about a 1/2 inch. Now I'm pulling this, and this one's a little awkward. This was my first prototype. It wasn't quite it was a little bigger than a 1/2 inch. It's actually about 1 inch. And that means that my loop had to be really big, because I should have added just another round or another stitch or two to make that fit perfectly. So you'll play around with it a little bit, but once you have your comfortable fit, the right thing to do is to make sure or measure that there is a 1/2 inch roughly between the end of your work right here, the beads, and the edge of the button as it goes around your bracelet, or as it goes around your wrist. Does that make sense? So I'm saying the 1/2 inch is from the edge here to the edge of the button. Because sizing matters. So speaking of that, so here's a bracelet that doesn't use all 8 inches. This is going to end up being an interesting situation, and I wanted to share it with you. So if you stretch this out, oh yay, Carol tested a dozen 8/0 beads on wax linen and they went on easy. So this is good. And she put 2 pieces of wax linen through each. It's got to go through twice. Just want to make sure. Mr. Ed. Thank you for doing that out there, Ed. He's out in the shop. So what I just did is I stretched this bracelet out, the stitching on it, so that it is basically as long as the chain is. So this is the chain pulled to the tautest that it can be, okay? Which is then, this would be, just looking at size, way too big for my average wrist, and obviously plenty of chain left if you wanted to make it longer. But what I wanted to show you, and I gotta just measure this again because I just think this is kind of fun, is, so this measures from the amount of chain and beads is about 6.5 inches. That's all cool. But if you decided you wanted a more condensed look, well, you can just push the beads up, because the chain will flow with it and make the whole bracelet a little more dense and compact. So now it won't be quite 8 inches total. I mean, if you were using all the beads, because I've just compacted all of the links, right? Well, so now that was 6.5 inches. Now it's 5.5 inches. So or not even 5.5 inches. So by compacting it, I made it so that now it will be a perfect fit, because that's about where you want it, 1/2 inch from the end of the beading to the start to the edge of the button. So I'm going to use this example to show you how we add the next layer. So, oh, actually, how to finish this layer. Right, because we need to do that first. So we're here, put on our last button, or I mean our last bead. And then what I want to do is basically just firmly attach, are we in good light? There we go. Firmly attach this last link to the, oh. So you see that, so this is shredding just a little bit like wax linen does. So you can kind of twist it, pull it, get it back into shape. And what I'm wanting to do is go through the top link of the last link that I'm going to use once, where I'm wrapping over the leather. So again, all these steps are just to continue to attach the chain to the leather. And I'm going to do it on the other side. So now when I pull that snug, I'm going to flip it over. When I pull it snug, I can, and I'm going to tie one overhand knot. You can see how the chain is going to come together right at the end. Now I need to, I'm going to do one more stitch with this wax linen through the bottom opening of the last link that's going to be attached, but I don't want to do that and then cut off the remaining chain, because I'm worried that I'll accidentally cut off the cord, because I'm not that good. So I'm going to come in here and just cut the link of the last piece of chain before the one that I want. So I'm just removing the excess chain. I'm going to do that over on this side. Being careful not to cut anything that I don't want to cut, cord or chain or otherwise. So now I've got, and I do want to just, double check, snug things up, make sure my cord is all working the way I want it to. I will say, well, I'll show you that when we get there, never mind. So many fun things. Okay, so I'm going to, my knot's on this side, I'm going to come around to the front, flip it over, and again, crossing over the leather, I want to go through this, the very bottom link of that last Rollo segment, the last box Rollo segment, and then do it again over here, crossing over. So all of these stitches are meant to attach the chain firmly to the leather with beads in between. All right, so now I've got that wrapped in there, and I'm gonna do this final knot. So overhand knot, again, just to be secure, and this isn't critical, but you got to do it however you like. So another overhand knot, but I'm going to make this one a surgeon's knot, and you do that by doing that overhand knot first, and then one wrap and two wraps. Makes it an official surgeon's knot. Pull that nice and tight. And you saw me do that little double check to make sure I thought my spacing was good and whatnot. Because once you knot wax linen, it's just a special bit of extra fun to undo it. It's doable, but it's not something you want to do if you don't have to. So, so this is where we're going to leave this piece, and we're going to move on to putting the outside edge on. And let me just make sure that's where I want to do this. Nope, actually I'm going to do it on this one. I have all these little in-process pieces so that I can show you the steps as we go. So this is our Remington steel color, and it uses black as the base leather, and then it uses antique brown as the surrounding leather. So the kit comes with 2.5 feet of leather, and we're going to attach the midpoint of the leather up at the top, because it's going to be what surrounds these beads, and we're going to just attach it on, right? So the way we do that is with another bit of wax linen, and probably the easiest way to get that on is to take the piece, fold it in half, and we're right here. So I've got equal lengths of waxed linen on each side, right under the button. And to keep it secure, I'm going to just do an overhand knot. Oops, sorry for all the twisting. This goes over here. So an overhand knot to attach that, right? Then I'm going to grab this leather, make sure I'm halfway. And it seems to me easiest, see how the knot is on this side? I'm going to flip it over this way, and I'm going to attach at this point the left side. Oh, thanks Ruth and Leah. I'm loving this bracelet too. It's you know, we kind of specialize in bracelets that are fast and easy, and this one isn't as fast and easy as, say, a chevron or a you know, and many of our bracelets are, you know, take an hour and a half. This is probably a 3-hour bracelet, but honestly, it's just meditative and fun, and I just think it's so pretty, and so many options. And so here again, I'm going through. We're going to go through each of the same box roller links that we went through the very first round, and now we're doing it to attach the leather to the outside, right? So there you go. So this then becomes super easy and fun. So you can use, you know, whatever, if you're right-handed, left-handed, find a way to do it really fast if you like. But we're basically going to we're whip stitching the leather onto the edge of the chain. I've got tools here catching on things. Sorry about that. So there we go. And do it again, and just make sure that you go through each of them at least once, and you don't go through any of them more than once. And you saw how I, on this one, kind of condensed the chain by pushing it all up so the chain and the beads would be all pressed together versus, you know, more spread apart. And but that means the chain is pressed together too, and so it's harder to see where to put it, you know, to find an opening. But if you need to, you know, you can see there's a lot of flexibility. Pull them apart a little bit, or go into, like, I want to get into that one. So make a little room for yourself just by pulling the chain around. Don't fight with it, because fighting with it is no fun. We're supposed to enjoy every bit of our beading adventure, right? The beading journey is meant to be relaxing. And that's really what I've found with this bracelet. It has just been, it's one that I've worked on. In fact, I did most of the designing of it at shows, you know, at the beginning when we were already set up and ready and there weren't a lot of people. And then here I'm just unwrapping a mistake I made. So I got the leather caught, or the cord caught. So you see we're just, you know, spiraling down, attaching this happy little chain, attaching the leather to the chain with the wax linen. And just checking to be sure y'all can see what I'm up to. And I am kind of the queen of monochromatic colors, and so I have really loved some of the browns, and then letting the beads pop. But one of our designs, this one, we used contrasting colors, and that's a wonderful, fun, different look too. Kind of, these are similar beads, not the same, but the leather was contrasting and the cord was contrasting, whereas here the beads are all, the leather and the cord are much more monochromatic. So, oh, Vicki, we'd love to have you come visit in the winter or the summer. Whatever works. So as you can see, oops, there was another little mistake because I'm not paying attention. So just keep on keeping on, basically stitching all the way down one side and then all the way down the other side till you have your outside stitched on. And I wanted to just, like, you could certainly wear the bracelet like this, you know, it's kind of the naked version, I guess. But once you put that outside edge, it just changes the way the bracelet looks. I will say it's just been really fun to, you know, it knocks down the shine of the chain and kind of brightens up and just gives it that earthy whatever, the beauty of the leather sort of shows through. So I'm gonna do one more stitch and then show you how, there we go, how to finish the bracelet. Woohoo. Alrighty, so this one is our Blue Lagoon colorway, and I'm gonna lay this out so we can see. This is the first round of leather is the green, and this is the wax linen that goes with that. This is the second round of wax linen. So this is basically, you know, once you've gone and whip stitched the outside edge of leather on both sides, then you're back down here trying to figure out the closure, right? And once again, I just want to show, now that I laid it all out, in order to get the right fit, if you like basically a, you know, like a cuffish watch band fit, here's what you want: about a 1/2 inch between the edge of your chain and the beginning of your button. So obviously I'm making all these bracelets just for me. No, I'm kidding. I have an average wrist, so it'll fit anybody. So back to this. And so this was did that final knot. What we want to do is here, your last stitch of attaching the outside leather onto the chain will be, so that you did everything exactly as we've already discussed. This very last one though, I want to get in there and attach this link, that very bottom link, with the cord as well, right? So this is probably the only putsy part of this whole project, where right here, see how that, well, that did come right through. So I'm coming through the very bottom link, and well, here, I'll show you. If it doesn't come through, if there isn't room there, just use your round nose pliers, then you've got plenty of room. And so, and you can see here where it just is a little bit, you know, the leather sort of fills in that space. So if you need to make a little room, use your, oh my goodness, Becky, use your box Rollo, or not box Rollo, your box Rollo pliers. Yeah, how about your round nose pliers? And now we're gonna sneak right up through there. So we're gonna do an overhand knot, like so. And then we're gonna go around, flip it around. And then of course, remember which are the cords you've already tied, which are these down here. So these are the cords I need to tie. So Lori, I've been leery of linen wrap bracelets because I like to go fast, and I was concerned about being able to keep the work even. The interior part looks tricky dicky, but the chain helps stay uniform and the outside whip stitch layer is less scary. Yes, yes, yes. Honestly, you should try this. It isn't, it really, I'm with you. I think I was a little bit worried too about, you know, like when you do a traditional Chandlu, it's easy to have it get uneven. But I tell you what, here's another tip for those. If you're making Chandlu bracelets, which are just yummy good fun, wax linen instead of anything else to start and to learn, and natural leather instead of any finished or coated leather, because the wax linen will kind of grab on to the natural leather and make all of it hold in place so much better. And then once you're comfortable and it all feels easy, We'll then go to, if you want to use Fireline or shiny leather, where everything is slippy and you've got teeny tiny things, you can do that. But it's, I think, much, much easier if you do it, if you practice and learn using wax linen and natural coated leather instead of any kind of a leather with a shiny finish or just a normal, a typical finish. It's the natural that works best. So then on this side, we're going to do another one of those surgeon's knots, which is basically a overhand knot and then an almost overhand knot that goes through twice. And pull that hard. And then we're going to use these cords, the interior cords, in this case they're the green ones, are going to get wrapped around by the exterior cords, which are the ones that I'm going to use to make an overhand knot. So basically, kind of hold those to the side. All the things are going to get wrapped in, which is the interior cords plus the wax linen, and do an overhand knot. So this spacing matters, right? And I don't like how that knot looks. I have to say, one of my weirdnesses is I want knots to look good, because knots matter. So I'm going to try that again. Sorry. And that's kind of my approach, is not necessarily memorizing exactly what's the best way, but making sure that I know how to redo it if I need to, right? So, here we go. I'm pushing all that through so that I don't like them to twist and overlap. So I'm trying to make, oh, sorry, got off screen there. Sorry. Okay, so now I'm happy that my knot is in a good spot, and I really want to snug it up as close as I can to the work, in part to cover the all the wax linen knots, but also just because then that's really where the size is right as well. So I've got that all snugged up in there. And at this point, I will say this: I am not a big fan of glue, and don't really recommend or prefer to use it. But if you want to, this is where, if you're in any way worried about those wax linen cords coming undone, this is where you would add a little bit of glue. So before you tighten that knot, tighten it. Oh, Leah, you like your knots without overlaps too. Isn't that funny? Yes. And I know there's some people that just don't even notice that it's a thing. And then there's those of us who are like, I can't pull that one tight, and you don't want anybody else to either. You want it to be better. Anyway, so this is where, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. This is where you want to throw in a little bit of glue. So just a touch of super glue gel that you can use that tip to get in there with. Pull these cords good, pull the interior green cords, and then we're going to pull this knot and push it so that it's covering up the wax linen knots as well. So I'm going to pull each of my cords. Oh, and there I go. Sticking to my work because of the glue. So, which is why I'm not a huge glue fan. All right, so we've got that going. Yeah, so glue, that's why I don't have any fingernails anymore. I tried painted fingernails for a little bit. My daughter got married, and that was a fun thing. It was a great season to give it a go, but I have discovered I don't think I'm going to be able to do nails, in part fancy nails, because I just need my fingers too much for gluing, for glue bracelets and such, and it just kind of ruins your manicure. So here, there's a few steps we're going to go about doing. I need to find my little samples. So this, in fact, you could just do that right now. This is going to, the brown cord that we just knotted is going to become your closure cord. Oops, sorry. And you want to make a knot, a nice even one that is just the right size for the button. So I haven't tightened that all the way yet. I'm gonna make sure that it's about where I really want it for this button, right? So, and I've used a 2-hole button for all these kits, but there's no reason you couldn't use a shank button. It would kind of be the same difference, I think. And so again, so I'm happy with that size, but I do want to, I'm pushing this knot hard down this way. I'm pulling this, and sometimes I'll even go in and pull each, I'm pulling this way to just make sure that knot is in there good. And then don't worry about gluing it. I've never glued a natural leather knot, I don't think, maybe ever in my life. But here, because there's that wax linen, that's why I wanted to glue that. So we're gonna go in and snip off the wax linen with a power tool here, practically. Again, being careful not to snip any leather or anything you don't want to snip. But since there's a little glue in there, I think it's fine. Macrame 101. Yes, yes, yes. So there, how cute is that? And so the last little step is, what do you do with these? Well, if you don't want little dangles like these, all my samples have little dangles, right? Just cute, because I'm all about, if there's a little leftover leather, let's make it pretty and put something on it and call it a little charm or dangle thing. If you don't like that look, there's no reason why you can't just knot this off. And that you might do a touch of glue on, knot it up right up top, close. In fact, I'm almost tempted to do it on this, but I don't think I will, because I want to show you another thing. So you could tighten that knot and snip it. If you had a lot of glue in there, I suppose you could just trim that off too and not even worry about it. But I think I would want to knot. I feel like that mechanical hold is an addition to any glue hold. So, but what I wanted to show you is you can use some of the extra beads. Oh no, I dropped one of my extra beads. To slide onto this leather. Now this is 2mm leather, so it's pretty hefty leather in terms of, it's thick. And the beads that we include, I wanted to try to show you this. These are the hole sizes of the cornerless cubes on the ones that use the metal. And you can see there's a slight difference. So some of them have a slightly smaller hole and aren't going to fit over this leather, but others have a slightly larger hole. So if you want to use the little dangles, be sure you set aside a couple beads that have a larger hole. And what I like to do is cut the leather cord to a really nice sharp point. Ka-ching, let's do that. Oh, a little sharper tool would probably be helpful, but that'll work since it's my only cutter in the vicinity. And then put her on, and you can twist a little, and that can kind of help. And then if you need a boost, that because you cut it at such a sharp point, you can grab the end with the pliers, and then you're twisting that on. So this is a very snug fit, but I am determined, and I'm not going to worry about, at this point, it doesn't bother me if I scratch the leather a little bit, because I'm done. So I am going to put that little guy on. I'd already strung one other one on the other piece of green leather. And this doesn't have to be a super long design or a super long dangle. Hashtag leather knots matter. I love it. Yes, leather knots matter. Isn't it funny? Just the things in life that we pay attention to. So again, making a knot, and that knot itself is just a nice substantial size, so almost adds to the look of the little dangle. And we're gonna go like so, and there we be. Oh, I guess I could trim that off. Again, super snug, super pull, all of those knots. I think I already did it on all of these, but Oh, I even got a little bit out of that. So honestly, it's just, that's one of my weird things. I just like to pull those knots really, really good so that you don't have to worry. So there, we're gonna get a scissors for snipping now. That's better. There we be. And so I had made all of these samples with 4 feet of leather. Your kits are gonna come, or 2 feet of leather. Your kits will come with 2.5, so you'll have more extra than this. And that makes them like little extras that you can do stuff with, as you know, throw some beads on there, make little earrings, whatever. So, all right, that is, I'm going to take a look at my notes. I think that's all I had. I don't even know what time it is because, of course, my phone doesn't show me the time when I'm online. Oh, I know. I do want to show you a couple oopses because that's a good way to learn. Let me get these out of the way. So I think I shared that my friend Laura did the testing for me to test the instructions, and just tried stringing with a size 6 bead. So okay, I should say this, a size 6 check bead that was on our strands. We have size 6 beads that are Mayukis and Matubos. Those are the ones that come with our chevron kits. So if you want to put together something yourself, those you can buy just the beads. They come with 70 in a pack, and that's more than plenty. You only need about 50 to complete this bracelet. And so then you have lots of choices of beads that are going to have a really nice big hole. This is a size 6 from our strands, the check strands that we carry, that we love the beads, but this is the one that Laura said was just a little rough trying to get them all through. So our size 5 check strands work beautifully, and then any size 6 bead will work beautifully as well. And when I say beautifully, what I'm basically meaning is just that it keeps up the pace with the size of the that you have when you're doing the weave with the box Rollo, if that makes sense. So what I wanted to show you here though is right here, there is a little boo-boo, maybe a couple little boo-boos. So these boo-boos right here came in the first round of work before the outside round of leather was kind of whip stitched on. And Laura didn't notice it. She was done with the bracelet, and she was working at night trying this for the very first time. And I said, you know what? I wouldn't worry about it, because once you put the outside course of leather on, you really, like on this side, you really don't even notice it. I think there might have been, yeah, just a missed stitch right here, went through the wrong spot, and on the front, so that's how it looks on one side, right there. And then on the other side, it looks a little more noticeable, but when you're wearing the bracelet, are you ever gonna know? You won't. So to some degree, I know there are people that have taken apart 20,000 beaded, 20,000 beads in a piece because of a mistake. I actually know somebody who did that, and I was shocked. So, to take apart, 10 beads to fix a mistake in something like this might not be a problem whatsoever. But I also just want to share that if you notice a boo-boo after the fact, once you put that outside layer that's stitched on, you really don't notice it, hardly at all. So anyway, that makes life a little bit easier. And Lori asked, so size 5 would be best even pace with chain. Yes. Okay, so size 5 check strands are best with the pace of the chain. And an example is this bracelet was done with size 5 beads, and this bracelet was done with size 5. So those are 2 examples. Actually, I should put these up together. These are size 5 check strands. This is size 6 Mayuki beads. What I haven't tried this with is size 5, like Matubos or Mayukis. Those are all a little bit bigger. So the stranded check beads that we get, and lots of people have, are typically a slightly smaller size than size 5 than the Mayuki or Matubos. So that's why I'm trying to make sure that everybody understands what will and what won't work well with this. So if you tried this with a size 5 Matubo or Miyuki. I'm trying to think, do they both have 5s? I think they do. Or actually, I'm thinking of 2 Matulos, never mind. So Miyuki size 5. That might be a little big, but I will say this. If you end up with a bead that's a little big, I mean, you can do some fun playing. This was my original, so let me show you that. So see how that little guy goes and does what it does right there? You know, he's, whatever, a bigger hole, bigger bead. I was able to get the cord through 3 times, and your kit will have enough wax linen in it to do that kind of playing around if you want to. So, and I'm just showing that because this is probably close to a size 5 bead, and I'm probably yammering on more than I need to about size 5s, but because now I'm gonna probably have to go try it and see. But I guess if you tried any bead that, you know, the pace of it is just a little too, you know, the bead's a little bit too big for the pace of the chain, then just pop in a smaller bead, which is kind of what we did here. So you see how there's the blue bead and then the brown bead and then just a little gold bead in the middle. So a couple gold beads to, you know, that are smaller. And it doesn't take much, just a little bit of, you know, a little change in size will make it all work well. So, alrighty. So any other thoughts or questions, I'm happy to address that if you type them on the comment line. Otherwise, I will say here is the basic recipe. I have of the pieces and parts that you need. There's a Facebook post right before this video that shows all the links to our web for each of these different items, as well as a link for the Zoni bracelet kit itself. And I think that's it. And I would love if y'all try making these and make up some new design, you know, make up some new colorways. I'd love to see pictures of it. I do want to show you, like, just because I think it's kind of fun. So this is what I would call, you know, like this is that first step, and it looks like it looks, right? But once you add the brown outside, it just changes the way that thing looks in such a sweet way, doesn't it? So, you know, and in this case, I don't know why, I like brown and I like how it all matches, because like then the stitching, so the stitching on the interior you see because it's on blue, but the exterior whip stitch, when you attach this brown to the silver chain, you really won't notice because it kind of blends right into the leather. So anyway, it just like they take on such a different look once you add your second layer. So we're going to be experimenting with these. I hope you get to experiment with them as well and play and have some fun and share what you might learn with us all, because that's how we all like to learn, is see what other people do and get some ideas and, you know, creative tips and inspiration. So there you go. Thanks, Suzanne. Thanks, Leah, Ruth, Lori, everybody who's sat along and learned along with me a little bit more about this bracelet. I really appreciate y'all. And there's that. Yeah, we will do our best to get projects out today, but if not, we'll send them on Monday or Tuesday. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to contact us on Facebook or give us a call at the store, whatever. Our number here, should you need to reach us, 608-873-0210. Thank you, and have just a wonderful, blessed weekend. We appreciate each and every one of you so much. You have made it a joy for us to continue being able to, you know, play bead store and do it in a way like this where we get to teach and share and you know, learn new things together. And we don't get to do that so much in person. So I'm so grateful that we get to do it online like this. So bless you and have a great, great weekend. See you next time. Oh, next time will be Ed on a Thursday, not next Thursday, but the following Thursday. I think we'll let you know. Thank you. Talk to you later. Bye, guys. Thank you.